I know what you've been doing. You've been going back through the photos, not all of them, just the good ones. The one from that trip. The one where they're laughing at something and the light is hitting them exactly right. You've looked at it more times than you would ever admit to anyone. You've been listening to songs that you have no business listening to right now. You know which ones. The ones that you basically turned into a soundtrack for a movie about the two of you, your relationship. A movie that's much better than the relationship actually was. You've been checking their Instagram. Maybe not their main feed, you're smarter than that, but their stories for sure. At 1 a.m., trying to figure out who that person in the background of the photo is. You've been having conversations with them in your head. Long, articulate, emotionally devastating conversations where you finally say everything you should have said and they finally understand and something resolves. And then you come back to reality and they haven't texted. And somehow that hurts more than the imaginary conversation. You've been doing the math. How many days since you last spoke? Whether they're thinking about you. What they're doing right now. Whether the thing you said in that argument 3 months before the end was the thing that actually ended it. And in your most honest moments, the 3 a.m. ones, or the Tuesday afternoon ones when you're supposed to be working, you've been telling yourself a story. The story goes something like this. It was so good. I've never felt that way before. I don't know if I'll ever feel that way ever again. Maybe we gave up too soon. Maybe they were the one. I'm going to need you to sit with me for 30 minutes today, because I need to tell you something about that story, about your brain, about what's actually happening when you romanticize your ex, when you romanticize someone you've lost, and about what's waiting for you on the other side of this spiral if you're willing to walk through it rather than loop it around forever. This is not a you'll be fine pep talk. This is not toxic positivity wearing a therapy speak costume. This is the real thing, the neuroscience, the psychology, the ancient wisdom, and the practical tools, because you deserve the actual truth more than you deserve to feel temporarily soothed. Ready? Let's go. This is the harsh truth. Your brain is lying to you, and I want to share with you the neuroscience of why they seem perfect now that they're gone. Let's start with the most important thing. The person you are missing does not exist. Not doesn't exist anymore. Not exists but is different now. Not exists but is with someone else. The specific person you're currently grieving, the one who appears in the photos you keep returning to, the one who stars in the mental highlight reel you keep playing, the one who felt irreplaceable and perfect and like coming home, that person is a construction. A story your brain is telling you. And your brain right now is a profoundly unreliable narrator. Here's why. When we experience loss, the brain does something that is genuinely astonishing from a neuroscience perspective, and genuinely cruel from a human one. It edits. Memory is not a recording. We have known this in psychology for decades, but it runs counter to how memory feels. We experience our memories as faithful replications of what happened. They're not. Every time you retrieve a memory, you're not playing it back. You're reconstructing it. And every reconstruction is influenced by your current emotional state, your current needs, and your current narrative about who you are and what your life means. This was established definitively by the cognitive psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, one of the most important and most underappreciated scientists of the 20th century. Her research on memory distortion showed that human memory is extraordinarily malleable. We add details that weren't there. We remove details that were there. We unconsciously rewrite what happened to fit what we believe, what we feel, and what we need to be true. Now apply that to a relationship you've just lost. Your brain is in a state of loss, and in a state of loss, the brain has a very specific and predictable bias. It amplifies the positive and suppresses the negative in memories of what was lost. This is not a quirk. This is not weakness. This is a documented neurological phenomenon. The moments of warmth, connection, laughter, and intimacy get vivid. The chronic pattern of dismissal, the way they made you feel small in front of their friends, the way they went cold when you needed them most, the Sunday arguments that always circled the same drain, those get fuzzy, dimmed, explained away. You end up remembering a relationship that was approximately 40% better than the one you actually had. And here's the other thing happening in your brain simultaneously. When you were in the relationship, your brain's reward system, the dopamine circuits, adapted to the presence of your partner. They became a predicted reward, something your brain had learned to anticipate and plan around. When the relationship ends, that reward prediction is suddenly, violently disrupted. And the disruption of a predicted reward is neurologically identical to withdrawal. This is not metaphor. Researchers at Rutgers University, Helen Fisher and her colleagues, put people who had recently been rejected in romantic relationships into an fMRI scanner and showed them photos of their ex. This will shock you. The brain regions that activated were the same ones that activate in cocaine addiction, the ventral tegmental area. The obsessive thinking, the physical ache, the craving, the compulsive checking behavior, these are not signs of how deep your love was. They are signs of withdrawal. You're not pining for a person. You're detoxing from a neurochemical. And here's where it gets even more interesting and more uncomfortable. The brain doesn't just romanticize by boosting the positive memories. It also uses a mechanism called deprivation amplification. Things we cannot have become more desirable, not despite their unavailability, but because of it. The psychological literature calls this reactance. When something is taken away, we instinctively want it more, independent of how much we actually wanted it before. Think about that for a second. You might be partially in love with the unavailability itself. You might be confusing the ache of deprivation, the biological screaming of a reward system that's been cut off, with evidence of exceptional, irreplaceable love. Not because you're foolish, but because you're human. There's a line I think about all the time from Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Understanding what's happening in your brain right now is that space. It is the difference between being controlled by that neurological process and being able to look at it, name it, and make a different choice. I hope that this episode helps you. I hope you'll pass it on to a friend who may be going through this right now. Thank you for trusting me. Remember, I'm always in your corner, and I'm forever rooting for you.